Who's going to tell him that the job he's currently seeking might just be one of those black jobs?
Hours earlier, Vice President Kamala Harris in Battle Ground, Wisconsin, beaming into the DNC after a raucous roll call.
We are so honored to be your nominees. This is a people-powered campaign, and together we will chart a new way forward.
Tonight, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz in the spotlight for the biggest speech of his career, while former President Trump strikes a dark tone during his week-long swing state campaign blitz.
You can't walk across the street to get a loaf of bread. You get shot, you get mugged, you get raped. You have thousands of terrorists coming into our country. Thousands of terrorists. These are the people that blew up the World Trade Center. Bad things will happen.
Hey everyone, I'm Andrea Mitchell in Chicago as Tim Walz takes the stage tonight to deliver his first primetime speech to a national audience just 2 weeks after Kamala Harris chose the little-known Minnesota governor to be her running mate. House Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi, former President Bill Clinton, also among tonight's big headliners. Last night, the Democrats delivered a highly choreographed show of strength, packing two arenas 85 miles apart, with 15,000 supporters in Milwaukee, where the RNC met just 5 weeks ago, while 20,000 people packed the convention hall here in Chicago, all joined by satellite on split screens.
They have nominated Coach Walz and me to be the next Vice President and President of the United States of America. And I thank everyone there and here for believing in what we can do together.
President Obama using a sly reference to the pride-sized obsession of Donald Trump to take down Trump.
The crazy conspiracy theories, this weird obsession with crowd sizes.
But it was First Lady Michelle Obama abandoning her usual uplifting tone and electrifying the crowd in a rare, raw, and powerful address.
It's up to us to remember what Kamala's mother told her. Don't just sit around and complain. Do something. So if they lie about her, and they will, we've got to do something. We got to pick ourselves up, throw water on our face, and what? So consider this to be your official ask. Michelle Obama is asking you, no, I'm telling y'all to do something.
That roaring Chicago crowd was energized earlier in the night by an unprecedented playlist, turning the routine roll call into a dance party. LA celebrity DJ Cassidy spinning different songs for each state, including for Georgia, a surprise performance by rapper and Georgia native Lil Jon.
Yeah! Ladies and gentlemen, we are here tonight to officially nominate Kamala Harris for president. Bob, get loud, another round of shots. DNC, turn out for what?
Minnesota, we cast 10 votes present, and we deliver 81 votes for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz.
The great state of California. How do you cast your vote?
My name's Governor Gavin Newsom. From the great state of Nancy Pelosi, California, we proudly cast our 482 votes for the next president, Kamala Harris.
So here with me for our own little dance party, NBC News senior White House correspondent Kelly O'Donnell, who was rocking herself from her vantage point on the podium platform. NBC News managing editor Carol Lee, and NBC News White House correspondent Monica Alba. Welcome all. What a night. I mean, they pulled that off. Just if you want to talk about choreography, Kelly, we have covered so many of these.
Indeed we have.
Over years and years. How does last night compare?
It really was an extraordinary event. And of course, you know, we're here to be independent observers. And so I was trying to restrain myself from busting out my 80s moves.
Yeah,
but there were a few. There were a few. You know, it was a long night, so I lost a little of my composure at times. If you had been looking at the order of the night on paper only, and you'd see roll call and former president and former first lady going to speak, you might have thought it's a night of tradition and elder statesmen and women. And it was not that in any way. Somehow, I think being out of office now, even though it's been 16 years, again, you'd think that would put you in elder statesman category. It does not for Barack and Michelle Obama. And she so beautifully framed her own personal experience having lost her mother, what a primal change that is in anyone's life, and how she's just going to tell you what she thinks now, and to do it without the constraints of being in office or being seen as a former first lady and what you have to do with that. A bit unbridled, a bit raw. And at the same time, I was struck by the generational piece. She and the former president are about the same age as Kamala Harris. They would have been in high school at the same time. And so we've had this big shift from the Joe Biden period, and it felt like it really was the start of a second part of the convention.
And Michelle Obama, I mean, Barack Obama is always a headliner. His speeches are eloquent and beautifully delivered. But Carol, Michelle Obama, first of all, we know she doesn't like politics. She's written about that many times. We knew she didn't want her husband to run, that she had to be persuaded. And without being a political performer, she comes out and gives this speech unlike anything she's ever done before. And you can hear in her voice, this is what she's wanted to say but never said before.
And part of the reason why I think we're hearing her say this now is because you've seen various iterations of Michelle Obama talking about former President Trump, talking about what the stakes are in the election in 2016 and 2020. And now it's this sense that it's now or never, that if there's time to say something, put it all in the field, now's the time. And that's what we saw her do last night. And not only when she criticized the former president, but she also had several other messages for Democrats, which is one, don't get complacent. Yes, this is all great and everyone's happy and we all seem unified and it feels like we have the momentum, but that can go away at any time. So don't rest on your laurels. And then, you know, don't be petty. Don't sit around and wait for someone to ask you to do something, and just take the initiative and do it yourself. And she also said very clearly, there is no other choice here. So don't even be thinking about anything else. This is a choice. And so it was a real call to action at the same time as it was a takedown of Kamala Harris's opponent.
And the point is, you're just saying that, Monica, nobody's perfect. And you don't have another choice. So get over it, Democrats. Go to the barricades. I mean, it was really a call to action. Tim Walz, I mean, Barack Obama said jokingly, and that was a set line, not an ad lib, I'm the only one stupid enough to follow Michelle Obama. There's no good answer to that because she is so dramatic and the most popular political figure. She's a crossover figure, certainly into pop culture as well. But Tim Walz, how does he perform? He's been this joyful character, but the traditional role of a vice presidential running mate is a tack dog.
Certainly, and this is someone who we just spent a couple minutes talking about, very well-known figures in our political history in this country. Governor Tim Walz is somebody who most people may not know his entire story, right? So tonight is all about, from their vantage point, introducing him to America and not really getting deep into maybe some of the policy, but focusing far more on his personal story. So he is going to come out, we're told tonight, and speak about his various roles that they're trying to highlight that are the ones that complement Vice President Harris's experience, things that she hasn't done, as in being a former high school football coach, serving in the military, talking about those aspects that they feel will be appealing to certain kinds of voters. But I think we also saw from former President Obama's comments last night where he was sort of ribbing Governor Walz about his choice of flannel shirts and his outfits. And we saw how much that his wife appreciated that moment and seemed to echo it, that there's also a little bit of humor and that there can be a little bit of light in sort of his role in all of this that I think we should expect to see. And tonight they are going to be leaning into a couple of those themes while making sure that he also speaks to what he believes she can do for working families, they say, across America. That will be a main part of his message as well, Andrea.
Well, I can't think of a better dance party than you ladies, sisters, as we go through this all together. Monica,
We got a little caffeine, too. That's part of it. Yes.
We're lucky to do it.
Good to be with you, Andrea.
Thank you, guys. And in just 90 seconds, we'll be back. One of the stars from last night's epic roll call, Tennessee state lawmaker Justin Pearson, on the emotion from the convention floor and what's ahead. But first, a quick look at what I saw amid the crowd here in Chicago as I spoke to the head of the Pennsylvania delegation.
Man, this election is so important, and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is the epicenter of this battle. We are going to deliver for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz.
Power E-Trade's easy-to-use tools make complex trading less complicated. Custom scans help you find new trading opportunities, while an earnings tool helps you plan your trades and stay on top of the market. E-Trade from Morgan Stanley.
Introducing Allison's Black Psoriasis. She thinks her flaky gray patches are all people see.
Otezla is the #1 prescribed pill to treat plaque psoriasis. Otezla can help you get clearer skin and reduce itching and flaking with no routine blood tests required. Doctors have been prescribing Otezla for over a decade. Otezla is also approved to treat psoriatic arthritis. Don't use Otezla if you're allergic to it. Serious allergic reactions can happen. Otezla may cause severe diarrhea, nausea, or vomiting. Some people taking Otezla had depression, suicidal thoughts, or weight loss. Upper respiratory tract infection and headache may occur.
With clear skin, girls' day out is a good day out. Live in the moment. Ask your doctor about Otezla.
Life is better with the credit gods on your side. Rewards once available to the few are now accessible to the many. Credit One Bank. Get cashback rewards and live large.
From the bluffs of Memphis to the peaks of Mountain City, the movement for justice rooted in love in Tennessee is still strong. It is a movement where kids are free from gun violence, a movement where women have the right to choose, a movement where working people get access to economic opportunity, a movement where those who have been pushed to the periphery are brought to the center, a movement where those who have been pushed down are lifted up. It is alive in Tennessee because we believe that justice will roll down like waters and righteousness like an ever-flowing stream.
And that was Tennessee State Representative Justin Pearson during last night's roll call here in Chicago. He was one of 3 Democrats, you'll recall, who became known as the Tennessee Three after state Republicans in Nashville sought to expel them from their House seats for supporting gun control measures after the Covenant school shooting. Well, Justin Pearson was not expelled last night. He was right in the center of the floor, and he joins us here now. Justin, what was it like last night?
It was one of the most electrifying experiences that I have ever had. I am so grateful, humbled to represent District 86, Memphis and Shelby County, and Vice President Harris in this amazing ticket, but with thousands of people who all believe in justice, opportunity, believe that our country can be better, who believe that we can do more. It means so much that I was able to be a part of that.
Tennessee, how do you cast your vote?
Mr. Secretary, the great state of Tennessee, birthplace of rock and roll.
And you saw it all there. You know, Justin, so you're the first state, you know, to cast your ballots.
Yeah.
And to lead all the delegates and fetch them all over to Kamala Harris. Why that switch over? Was it a difficult decision at all? What was your feeling about Joe Biden? Let's just be honest here.
I mean, I love and appreciate Joe Biden. President Biden invited us to the White House. We had the chance to be with him. We had the chance to talk with him on Zoom the day after we were expelled. And I believe that his leadership to this country deserves all of our praise and gratitude. And I believe that this moment in American history, he met by ensuring that we all would understand that Vice President Harris is the leader that we need in this moment in time. And I believe the gratitude that everyone shared on Monday was really worthwhile and deserving of a person who's given his entire life to this country in service. And I think for Tennessee, we realize that our job is to do everything that we can to have Democrats in office in the White House. And Vice President Kamala Harris is the leader that we need in this moment in time. She cares about people. She's authentic. She cares about ending gun violence, cares about the environment and doing something about climate. She cares about us, and that's who we need.
Well, what difference has that made with young people? What are you seeing in just this month?
It is extraordinary. I've not gotten so many phone calls, texts, Instagram messages from young folks. Gen Z and millennials are fired up, are ready to go, are excited about what we're going to be able to do in this election. Having nearly 41 million people registered, young people are going to decide this election. And Vice President Harris is investing in young people, young elected leaders, young folks across college campuses, technical schools, all across the country to make sure that our voices are heard and also that our issues are being paid attention to in a way that has not typically happened in national elections.
Michelle Obama, such an unusual speaker. Let me play a little bit of that and what that said to you and your generation.
She understands that most of us will never be afforded the grace of failing forward. We will never benefit from the affirmative action of generational wealth.
So that's her take on affirmative action and all the criticism of that.
Yeah, that was amazing. That was one of my favorite lines of the whole night because it is so true. People talk about affirmative action for race, but generational wealth, the benefit of whiteness that Donald Trump has had for centuries has helped him to get to the place that where he is, where he's robbed, he's stolen, he's hurt people to become the quote-unquote success story that he is. And a lot of people, the majority of Americans will never have a silver or gold spoon or gold tower in their name. The majority of people are going to have to work for what they get. The majority of us, working class folks, people who make it even into the middle class, have to give all that they can every single day, make so many sacrifices just to have an inkling of the American dream. And we need to have a president who understands that and wants more people to have access to the opportunities that America has, not just for the rich, not just for the billionaires, not just for Peter Thiel, not just for Elon Musk.
And you're going to be on that stage yourself.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, you and the other two members of the Tennessee Three and others talking about gun reform, common sense gun legislation. Give us a preview.
Yeah, we need to do something about the gun violence epidemic. Gun violence is the #1 killer of children. More than car accidents, more than cancer. Gun violence is destroying our communities. And the authoritarian actions of the Tennessee Republicans expelling us was really an assault on our democracy. It really is a dangerous and unprecedented step, and we don't want to see that continue. We want to see action to end the gun violence epidemic.
Justin Pearson, we've gotten to know each other a little bit along the way, and I'm so, pleased to see you here.
Likewise, thank you so much for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
You make your own opportunities. You guys are amazing. And next up, the challenges Tim Walz is facing as he takes center stage tonight. We'll talk with two top Democratic lawmakers from Connecticut, Senator Chris Murphy and Congressman Jim Himes. You're watching Andrea Mitchell Reports live on MSNBC.
In the neighborhood, every delivery is a treat.
One pistachio for you, sir.
One strawberry poof, please.
Oh, enjoy it.
Oh, perfect.
Bye, Weber. Something minty? Of course, it's a large.
A double. Lucky.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Ethan, how's my favorite client?
Great. I started using Schwab investing themes, so now I can easily invest in trends, like wearable tech.
Trends?
All that research sounds exhausting.
Nope, Schwab's technology does the work. So if I spot an opportunity in robotics or pets, I can buy those stocks in a few clicks.
Can't be that easy.
It is with Schwab.
Schwab investing themes. 40 customizable themes, up to 25 stocks in just a few clicks.
Hi! Need new glasses? Buy one pair, get one free at VisionWorks. How can you see me squinting? I can't, I'm just telling everyone. Hey!
Buy one pair, get one free for back to school. VisionWorks. See the difference.
It's a great place to find affordable luxury for less. There's beautiful linen sheets, there's gorgeous curtains, whatever your style is. The quality for what you get is really substantial, and that's one of the reasons that I've been drawn to this brand.
Get $20 off your first purchase at quince.com.
My name is Braden. I was 5 years old when I came to St. Jude. I'll try and shorten down the story. So I've been having these headaches that wouldn't go away. My mom, she was just crying. What they said, your son has brain cancer.
It was your worst fear coming to life.
Watching your child grow up is the dream of every parent. You can join the battle to save the lives of kids like Braden by supporting St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Families never receive a bill from St. Jude for treatment, travel, housing, or food, so they can focus on helping their child live.
What they have done for me, my son, my family. Sorry, yeah.
Life is a gift, especially for a child battling cancer. Call or go online and help save the lives of children like Braden.
Now I'm 11 years old. We were actually doing the checkup for my brain, and they saw something in my throat. It's thyroid cancer.
It was heartbreaking to find out that he has cancer again, but we knew who we had behind us. It just gives me hope.
You can make a difference. Join with your credit or debit card for only $19 a month, and we'll send you this St. Jude t-shirt.
Without St. Jude or its donors, we would have been in a bad place.
These kids, they've done nothing wrong in the world. Finding a cure for childhood cancer, it means everything.
Help St. Jude give kids with cancer a chance.
I have a structured settlement and Call J.G. Wentworth, 877 cash now.
I am an annuity, but I need cash now.
Call J.G. Wentworth, 877 cash now.
It's your money. Use it when you need it.
Call J.G. Wentworth, 877.
Call 877 cash now to get a $100 gift card for a free quote.
You know what I love about Quick Hit Slots? It's the mobile slots game that gives you those authentic Vegas thrills. And it's free to play. You just can't beat it. That moment just before the big win. Quick Hit Slots has all the games you know and love. And best of all, the jackpot. Find out why millions are playing it. Download Quick Hit Slots for free and get a 6 million coin bonus. Make every day a winning day.
Democrats are trolling Donald Trump's obsession with crowd sizes yesterday, simultaneously filling two venues with cheering crowds in two separate states. The convention crowd here in Chicago watching on as Kamala Harris and Tim Walz were beamed in from Milwaukee, with supporters packed into the same venue where Republicans had held their convention last month. Tim Walz taking a swipe at Donald Trump.
A month ago, that the Republican Party gathered for their convention right here on this very spot. Not only do we have massive energy at our convention, we got a hell of a lot more energy at where they had their convention, right here. Oh, that one guy's gonna be so sad tonight, so sad. So sad, so sad.
And joining me now, two Democratic lawmakers from Connecticut, Senator Chris Murphy and Congressman Jim Himes, the top Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee. And, of course, you on all of the foreign relations and everything. Chris Murphy, let's talk about last night.
Yeah.
And what it meant to have Barack and Michelle Obama.
Yeah.
Michelle Obama, in a way we have not seen her, saying what she really thinks, saying that you guys only have 76 days, and this is going to get ugly and uglier.
Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, it was just a fun night, right? I mean, I guess the contrast that the whole country is seeing is the Democratic Party, which recognizes the challenges this country faces, knows people are going through hard times, but, you know, approaches that challenge with joy, right? And the Republican Party, which is just so negative and dour, seems obsessed with division, right, rather than trying to unify the nation. I thought the Obama speeches last night were fun. I thought they lifted up the audience, and I can't wait for Tim Walz today. Tim Walz has done an absolutely fantastic job of helping to grow out the middle class, make communities safer, build better public education, and he's going to tell a fantastic story tonight. But the positivity, the energy of last night, you can see why we are not having problems filling multiple venues, multiple big stadiums all at once, because there's just a whole bunch of people that wanted nothing to do with politics, who now, because of the enthusiasm behind Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, are flocking to be part of this movement.
And Congressman, you've got to put meat on the bone. You've got to turn enthusiasm into something other than a sugar high, to mix all of my metaphors. You've got to get volunteers. I'm told, credibly, that volunteers in a number of key states are really turning up. Money is pouring in. But it's tough, and they have money. Republicans have resources. They probably don't have as much infrastructure on the ground. But what are you seeing as the challenges now?
Yeah, so, I mean, the answer to that question is super clear. And, you know, this is a celebration. This is a remarkable, historic celebration for a whole bunch of reasons. But what is super clear is that all of this optimism, all of this happiness, all of this joy needs to be turned into fuel for a lot of unglamorous hard work. James Carville came and addressed us yesterday, us being the Connecticut delegation, and he said, you know what? Congratulations, guys. You won August. You know what that matters? 0. And he said, so shut up and work. So what has to happen starting this weekend is that all of this joy and optimism needs to be turned into the unglamorous work of making phone calls, knocking on doors, and making sure that this joy that Chris was talking about turns into motivation for people to show up at the polls and save this country.
And there's criticism from Republicans, but also other critics, analysts saying Kamala Harris has to show more than just the biography. She's got to show policies. She's got to do interviews. And you've worked with her in the Senate. How prepared is she on foreign policy at a time when we've got 2 wars, not the ceasefire they had hoped for this week, Secretary Blinken coming back, you know, empty-handed for all of his work on the 9th shuttle to the Middle East?
Well, she's ready on day one because she has been part and parcel of Joe Biden's campaign to restore America's credibility all around the world. I was with her on a few of her international trips, 2 times that she went to Munich to speak before the security conference. She was powerful. She conveyed a clear message of support for Ukraine. We've now learned that she was instrumental in getting the deal done to bring our prisoners home. It was some of her direct intervention that made that possible. And even on the issue that Republicans think that she's vulnerable on, the border and her work in Central America, she was given a very discreet task to drive down migration from 3 key countries in Central America. And within 2 years of being given that task and having made multiple trips and doing multiple diplomatic missions to the Northern Triangle countries, migration from those 3 nations went down by 60%. So that is a pretty incredible record, a record that she's going to be able to talk about and run on national security.
Well, first on Gaza, Congressman Himes, a lot of pressure from uncommitted delegates here to agree to an arms embargo. There are protesters outside. They're doing it politely inside the hall, the Minnesotans. But does she need to differentiate herself from the Biden policy and show more than empathy for the people in Gaza?
You know, when you say differentiate herself from the Biden policy, I think, has been the policy that most Americans support, which is that we're going to stand by our ally Israel, especially after the horrors of October 7th. But we are going to push at every opportunity, and Chris and I have certainly participated in this with ambassadors, with Israeli generals, to say that this war must be conducted better, differently, with more to a sort of in tune to keeping civilians safe and allowing the humanitarian situation to improve. So I wouldn't expect a radical change in that policy. I would point out, and Americans should think about this. You're right. We had Gaza protesters here. We had people inside the party saying there are 2 sides to this very complicated thing, and both sides deserve the hearing. What about on the other side? There weren't Gaza protesters there because they know that there is no voice inside the Republican Party for both sides of this very complicated situation.
And briefly on Ukraine hitting Moscow with drones. They say you've taken the handcuffs partly off. We can go across the border and go after the sites that they're hitting us with, but we need ATACMS. We need more freedom to go deeper into Russia. Ukrainian soldiers are telling our reporters that they are still badly overmatched.
Yeah, and I would say a couple things about my own opinion, which is perhaps somewhat at odds with the president's, is that we've been a little too late, a little bit too little in our support for the Ukraine. It's easy for me to say I'm not the one who bears the consequences of the Russians upping this game. But two things about the Ukrainians. One, we got to remember that this is our fight. This is very much our fight. That, yes, we're sending some dollars to, but we haven't sent any people to. And number two, as people say, oh, negotiations need to start, what's the end game? Remember, the Ukrainians always surprise us. Nobody, not our Secretary of State, not Chris, not I, 4 weeks ago would have told you that the Ukrainians were going to undertake a successful invasion of Kursk, and they did. So we need to let the Ukrainians do what they have doing and support them in that effort.
Senator, you're nodding your assent.
Well, listen, I agree with Jim, but there's also a primary obligation that the commander-in-chief has, which is to protect the United States. So part of the reason why we are sometimes slow to deliver weapons to Ukraine is because we have to make sure we can backfill our own stocks. So we can. I'm all for giving Ukraine what it needs, but not if it jeopardizes our ability to defend the United States of America. So sometimes the Ukrainians get frustrated. They don't get things as fast. That is usually because the president has an obligation to make sure that he is not conducting foreign policy in a way that jeopardizes us should something catastrophic happen on our own shores.
Senator, Congressman, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. And we have some very sad breaking news to report. Longtime Democratic Congressman Bill Pascrell of New Jersey has died. Pascrell served 4 decades in politics. Most recently was known for his sharp attacks against Donald Trump. The congressman had been in and out of the hospital this summer, we know. Pascrell was seeking his 15th term in office. New Jersey party leaders have until next Thursday to select a new Democratic nominee for their primary. Bill Pascrell was 87 years old, and our condolences to his family and friends. And the message next. Meet the press moderator. Kristen Welker joins me on the Democrats' pitch here in Chicago and what Kamala Harris and Tim Walz need to accomplish. You're watching Andrea Mitchell Reports. This is MSNBC.
Here's to getting better with age.
Here's to beating these two every Thursday.
Help fuel today with Boost High Protein. Complete nutrition you need and the flavor you love. So here's to now. Now available Boost Max.
Lumify?
It's kind of amazing. Wow. Lumify eye drops dramatically reduce redness.
In 1 minute.
And look at the difference. My eyes look brighter and whiter for up to 8 hours. Lumify really works.
See for yourself.
Lumify.
When your home gets bugs, the struggle is real. That's why you need Zevo traps. Zevo goes wherever bugs do, working 24/7 using blue and UV light to attract and trap flying insects with no odor and no mess, getting rid of the bugs you see and even the ones you don't, for effortless protection everywhere in your home. Zevo, people-friendly, bug-deadly. To catch up to twice the bugs, try Zevo Max.
She grew up in a middle-class home. She was the daughter of a working mom, and she worked at McDonald's while she got her degree. Kamala Harris knows what it's like to be middle class. It's why she's determined to lower healthcare costs and make housing more affordable. Donald Trump has no plan to help the middle class, just more tax cuts for billionaires. Being president is about who you fight for, and she's fighting for people like you.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
Type 2 diabetes? Discover the Ozempic Trizone. Ozempic! I got the power of 3. I lowered my A1C, CV risk, and lost some weight.
In studies, the majority of people reached an A1C under 7 and maintained it.
I'm under 7.
Ozempic lowers the risk of major cardiovascular events such as stroke, heart attack, or death in adults also with known heart disease.
I'm lowering my risk.
Adults lost up to 14 pounds.
I lost some weight.
Ozempic isn't for people with type 1 diabetes. Don't share needles or pens or reuse needles. Don't take Ozempic if you or your family ever had medullary thyroid cancer or have multiple endocrine neoplasia syndrome type 2 or if allergic to it. Stop Ozempic and get medical medical help right away if you get a lump or swelling in your neck, severe stomach pain, or an allergic reaction. Serious side effects may include pancreatitis. Gallbladder problems may occur. Tell your provider about vision problems or changes. Taking Ozempic with a sulfonylurea or insulin may increase low blood sugar risk. Side effects like nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea may lead to dehydration, which may worsen kidney problems. Living with type 2 diabetes?
Ask about the power of 3 with Ozempic.
We need a small business loan fast.
I got this. Loan cannon!
There's a better way to get a fast small business loan. Go to OnDeck.com, and if approved, get your funds as soon as the same day. Your loan is on deck.
All right, team, saddle up. I want Q1 full index reports at my desk by noon.
Are you getting any of this?
Yeah, Otter's got the meeting notes. I'll ask it for action items in the channel. And Maria already asked for a budget reminder. Smart.
Got it?
Got it, boss. Otter, you got this.
I was seeing this bra all over my Instagram feed. I'm sure you're seeing it too.
This is the most comfortable bra I've ever put on in my life.
I love it because, one, it's not underwire. I hate underwire.
It smooths out your back. It doesn't give you back fat or back rolls. And you can wear this under a t-shirt and it wouldn't leave any marks or bulges.
So not only is it super supportive, lifting and smoothing, but you have all that without an underwire and without a ton of padding.
If you're looking at this and it's available, I promise you won't regret it.
Try risk-free. Free returns on all orders.
Something wonderfully magical is in the air, isn't it? Yeah. You know, we're feeling it here in this arena, but it's spreading all across this country we love. It's the contagious power of hope. America, hope is making a comeback.
Michelle Obama last night with that powerful endorsement of Kamala Harris and Tim Walz and eviscerating Donald Trump. Joining me now, meet the press moderator, Kristen Welker, and presidential historian John Meacham, the Rogers Chair in the American presidency at Vanderbilt, who occasionally advises President Biden on historical matters and big speeches. Kristen, day 3 of the DNC. So how are people feeling about the past 2 days? What has the response been to the speeches you've heard so far?
Well, look, I think that the speeches fired up this convention, Andrea, and I think that they fired up Democrats, quite frankly. And I think that, Michelle Obama spoke in some of the plainest terms that we have ever heard from her when she basically said, now is the time not to wait for a Goldilocks moment with these candidates. Now's the time basically to, quote unquote, do something, as she was quoting. And she basically said, look, trying to make the case, Vice President Harris, Tim Walz, they are the candidates, the best candidates to defeat Donald Trump. It was extraordinary. Remember what we heard from her in 2016, when they go low, we go high. She pivoted from that last night. She took the gloves off. She went directly at Donald Trump and really delivered one of the most excoriating takedowns that we have heard of him, certainly from her, but quite frankly, Andrea, from anyone at this convention thus far. And it's a sign and a little bit of a preview, I think, of what we can anticipate on the campaign trail. And it's a recognition by the Obamas and to some extent by the Democratic Party that in order to defeat Trump, they needed to shift their tactics a little bit. So we'll see how it plays out. I don't think we'll hear that language from Kamala Harris, but it's clear that the Obamas have decided that they're going to go directly after Trump. That's significant.
Yeah, it's a 76-day campaign. There's no time for a big windup. Right. John Meacham, let's talk about this moment in history. Unprecedented in so many ways. The enthusiasm we're seeing, the call back to hope made by Michelle Obama, just the way they were orchestrating this, but also, let's face it, an historic change of the nominee that this convention chose and switching just, a month and a few days ago, candidates and a president of the United States giving up power voluntarily. Never before.
Not a huge category, as we know. It's like what President Kennedy once said, that there's a reason Profiles in Courage was short and 1 volume. Not as much material to work with as we would hope. I believe, and President Biden's my friend. I help him when I can. I believe he did a heroic and selfless thing, and by passing the torch, he enabled a very vigorous challenge to an illiberal, authoritarian threat that's embodied in Donald Trump. And that's not speculative, right? We've seen what we might get with a second Trump presidency. And so I think what President Biden did will be written about and talked about by people like us forever, as long as the American Republic survives. And it was a decision that is going to help the American Republic survive. I was thinking, conventions. I was thinking as Kristen was talking. President Johnson once said in his first State of the Union in 1965, he said that presidents paint a path forward, forge a path forward by picking up the scattered elements of the American past. It's a wonderful phrase, the scattered elements of the American past. And in many ways, a convention is about trying to figure out what are the timeless values that can be applied in a timely way. And I think the Democrats are doing a terrific job of articulating that case.
And just to follow up, that would validate the decision to introduce not just the biography, but the character issues of these candidates, both through their own voices and the validators like Michelle and Barack Obama. And we shouldn't expect, other than the platform, for the policy issues. I mean, that would be what they would say.
Yeah, and it's all a matrix, obviously. But I think, Andrea, you've lived so much of this as well. Character, in the end, is what matters, because you just don't know what's going to hit the desk in the Oval Office. And so the temperament, the values, the dispositions, the tendency to do good or the tendency to do ill, that's in the heart and soul of the person we send to the pinnacle of power matters enormously. I don't want to overestimate the significance of the American presidency. A democracy is a covenant and a complicated sort of a historical Cuisinart of human motives and human impulses. That said, it is the tip of the spear. It is the fullest manifestation. It's where power and aspiration, or where power and a disposition to advance oneself as opposed to the country meet. And so talking about character, talking about biography is absolutely essential and I think actually responsible.
And Kristen, Doug Emhoff was the validator of his wife and talking about their dating and, joking and self-deprecating about how ham-handed he was when he first met her and was, so smitten. But also this about their family, what he called the blended family, which is so typical of more and more families in America.
Well, it's so significant, Andrea. There's really no better.
Kamala has connected me more deeply to my faith, even though it's not the same as hers. She comes to synagogue with me for high holiday services, and I go to church with her for Easter. I get to enjoy her mom's chili relleno recipe every Christmas, and she makes a mean brisket for Passover.
So that gives an insight into their personal lives.
And it's so significant, Andrea, because there's really no better character witness than Doug Emhoff to Vice President Harris. And here he was taking this convention, the American public, the biggest audience yet, inside their relationship, her role in raising their kids. And that is significant for a range of reasons, because it helps people to understand more about the vice president. Again, she served as vice president for nearly 4 years, but a lot of people not that familiar with her. The other piece of this, though, remember, Republicans, J.D. Vance in particular, have been accusing Democrats of not being family-oriented enough when it comes to their policies. This was a very subtle but firm way to answer some of those criticisms and to say, we are focused on family here, Andrea.
And also talking about his Jewish faith, yes. And he's been an important spokesman against anti-Semitism for her as
Absolutely.
well.
It's one of his biggest issues that he talks about, Andrea.
Listen, thank you so much.
Thank
we'll
you.
Be watching tonight. It's great to have you here. And next, both Obamas ripping into former President Trump in their own ways, taking the trash talk to a whole new level. But first, after his speech to the convention crowd, I spoke with Pennsylvania State Senator Malcolm Kenyatta.
I like to remind people, well, politics does you. Politics does you. And I think what you saw on that stage, you know, my presence as a poor black gay kid from North Philly, to be on that stage tonight talking about our future, you see a party that looks like America.
You've had thyroid eye disease for a long time, and you've lived with the damage it caused. But even after all these years, restoration is still possible. Learn how at TEDhelp.com.
John and the news team are at the DNC in Chicago. And John's going live.
That's what I'm talking about!
Comedy Central's The Daily Show. Complete DNC coverage on Comedy Central. And catch up on Paramount Plus.
The cell provider that was breached has my social from the credit check.
Think of all the places that can expose your info. LifeLock monitors millions of data points for identity theft. If there's a problem, we fix it. Guaranteed.
Did you know you could save with GoodRx even if you have insurance?
I'm on Medicare. I check GoodRx because it can beat my copay. Who wouldn't like that?
Even if you have insurance, GoodRx can help you save. Another good reason to check GoodRx.
Introducing Ned's Plaque Psoriasis.
Ned, what are you wearing?
He thinks his flaky red patches are all people see.
Otezla is the #1 prescribed pill to treat plaque psoriasis.
Ned?
Otezla can help you get clearer skin and reduce itching and flaking, with no routine blood tests required. Doctors have been prescribing Otezla for over a decade. Otezla is also approved to treat psoriatic arthritis. Don't use Otezla if you're allergic to it. Serious allergic reactions can happen. Otezla may cause severe diarrhea, nausea, or vomiting. Some people taking Otezla had depression, suicidal thoughts, or weight loss. Upper respiratory tract infection and headache may occur.
With clear skin, movie night is a groovy night. Live in the moment. Ask your doctor about Otezla.
What will you do when the power goes out? Power outages can be unpredictable and inconvenient, but with a Generac home standby generator, your life goes on uninterrupted, because when your Generac detects a power outage, it automatically powers up, giving your family the security and peace of mind they deserve.
We don't have to worry about whether we lose power or not. If the utility company does not come through, our Generac does.
After the hurricane happened, we just want to be prepared for anything.
8 out of 10 home generators are Generac, with thousands of satisfied customers.
The #1 thing to prepare for is extended power outages. Don't make it so hard on yourself. Have a Generac home standby generator.
And owning a generator is easier than ever. Special financing and low monthly payment options are available. And if you call now, you will also receive a free 5-year warranty valued at over $500. Call or go online now to request your free quote.
Back on his home turf here in Chicago last night, speaking to chants of Yes, She Can, former President Barack Obama slammed Donald Trump with some of his most stinging comments ever.
Here's a 78-year-old billionaire who has not stopped whining about his problems since he rode down his golden escalator 9 years ago. It has been a constant stream of gripes and grievances that's actually been getting worse now that he's afraid of losing to Kamala.
Joining me now, our Washington Post White House reporter Yasmin Abutaleb, former Democratic New York Congressman Joe Crowley, and Brendan Buck, former top communications advisor to Speakers Ryan and Boehner. So, Joe Crowley, you've been to a lot of conventions. Did they do enough to heal the divisions that I'm still hearing by some members of the House Democratic Caucus, angry at those who spoke out publicly against Joe Biden?
Well, I do think making Tim Walz the VP candidate has gone a long way to massage a lot of those ill feelings. Tim is a wonderful replacement. In many respects, embodies many of the qualities of Joe Biden, of Joe Biden himself, and I think that is resonating with House members in particular.
And Brendan Buck, Former Trump press secretary Stephanie Grisham was one of the Republicans at the convention last night, validating Kamala Harris and Tim Walz.
Yeah, that's right.
The Trump family became my family. I spent Easter, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's all at Mar-a-Lago. I saw him when the cameras were off. Behind closed doors, Trump mocks his supporters. He calls them basement dwellers. He has no empathy, no morals, and no fidelity to the truth.
That was a devastating insider critique.
Yeah, and look, I mean, obviously, few better people to make these arguments than the people who saw him behind closed doors. I think this is an important audience for the Harris campaign. There's not a huge number of Republicans these days willing to cross over and vote for a Democrat, but there may be enough that could tilt this election. And the Harris campaign, I think, needs to be welcoming and inclusive and talk about those things that are much bigger than policy. I think a lot of Republicans are probably not going to agree with Harris on a lot of her platform. But what they can agree is that things like character matter, and that telling the truth matter, and not embarrassing your country matter. I mean, that should be some basics, but Donald Trump continually fails to meet those. And if she can articulate that, look, I'm going to be the president for everybody, I think that could be a significant game changer for her when we're talking about an election on the margins.
Yasmin, tell me what you think about Kamala Harris and whether she is not just filling out the resume, but becoming more real to people across America.
I think that's definitely what the keynote speakers are trying to do, what she's trying to do, what Doug Emhoff was trying to do last night. I think she knows a lot of voters, a lot of Americans don't really know her beyond some of the caricatures that have been portrayed. And so they're definitely seizing on this convention to tell her story. And I think to tell it in ways that'll resonate with many different Americans. Her husband was talking about their blended family and the way she came in and helped raise his children from his first marriage. She's also stressed her middle-class upbringing with a single mother, and Michelle Obama was drawing on their shared experiences. So I think they're emphasizing different parts of her background, of course, as a prosecutor, to draw the contrast with Trump, to make her to relate to as many people as possible.
Joe Crowley, Nancy Pelosi, whom you know so well, was on the Colbert Show live here in Chicago and was interrupted by protesters demanding an arms embargo against Israel. Let's watch.
Israel has a right to defend itself.
Agreed. And the hostages should be returned.
And the hostages should be returned. Unless you have a two-state solution, we'll not have a resolution of this. And that is a time of opposition.
Please don't interrupt my guests.
Joe, how difficult is the Gaza issue for the Democrats here?
Look, it has been an issue for quite some time now. I do think that Nancy brings a balance to it, and she's very credible on this issue amongst Democrats in particular. But look, heavy's the mantle of leadership, and you can't avoid protesters these days. It's inevitable. But I thought she did a good job there. I think Steve Colbert did a good job too in trying to rein it in as best they could.
And Yasmin, Montana is now the 8th state with a ballot measure on abortion. The Democrats really seizing this.
They did. I mean, we saw on night one of the convention, they had a number of speakers who, just regular people who spoke about their experiences needing abortions for medical reasons and how devastating it was in states with these restrictive bans, with a threat to the mother's life. And I think Democrats clearly feel this is their best issue, that Kamala Harris is a strong messenger on it. And I think they feel, especially in these states with the ballot measures, that'll help them turn out their voters too.
Yasmin, thank you so much. To Joe Crowley, to Brendan Buck, thanks to you. And that does it for this edition of Andrea Mitchell Reports. Chris Chansing Reports starts here in Chicago after a short break.
Here's to getting better with age.
Here's to beating these two every Thursday.
Help fuel today with Boost High Protein. Complete
versa. We're the full-service replacement window division of Andersen. With us, there's no passing the buck. At Renewal by Andersen, we sell, build, install, and warrant our windows and patio doors. So if there's ever an issue, we take full responsibility for it.
Why don't you sell vinyl windows?
It doesn't matter if it's a $200 window or a $1,200 window. A lot of vinyl windows just don't last. For energy efficiency and beauty, there's a much better option. Our Windows Fibrex composite material is available in 9 designer colors, and it's much more durable than vinyl. Well, Fibrex is low maintenance like vinyl, but stronger than vinyl. And it's beautiful like wood, but doesn't require the upkeep of wood.
It's Renewal by Andersen's 31-day sales event. Buy one window, patio door, or entry door and get the next one 40% off with a minimum purchase of 4. Plus, save an extra $45 on every window and door with no money down, no monthly payments, and no interest for 12 months. Our 31-day sales event ends August 31st. For a free appointment during this sales event, call 1-800-460-7700.
To my son, I've never been the cool dad. I always want to know what he's up to online. But with TikTok's privacy settings being on by default for teens under 16, accounts are set to private. He cannot send or receive DMs, and only his friends can comment. So he can post away, and I've got one less thing to worry about.
So, Dad, how old do you have to be to get a tattoo?
Teen safety settings on by default.
Did you know you could remodel your kitchen faster and less expensive than the big box stores? At Cabinets to Go, customize your dream kitchen with custom quality cabinets, countertops, and flooring. So transform your kitchen in weeks, not months, minimizing your downtime. Visit one of our 100-plus showrooms nationwide and get your dream kitchen today for as low as $139 a month at cabinetstogo.com.
We need a small business loan fast.
I got this.
Loan Falcon!
There's a better way to get a fast small business loan. Go to OnDeck.com, and if approved, get your funds as soon as the same day. Your loan is on deck.
Why do couples choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
I need help with their snoring.
Sleep Number does that.
Thank you.
During our biggest sale of the year, save 50% on the Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Shop now at a Sleep Number store near you.
Good day. I'm Chris Chansing, live at the Democratic National Convention in Chicago. Well, talk about a tough act to follow. 24 hours after Barack and Michelle Obama electrified the crowd with takedowns of Donald Trump, tonight it's Tim Walz's turn. So how will the governor walk that line between introducing America to his brand of Minnesota nice and playing the traditional VP role of attack dog for his campaign? Plus, few, if any, issues have been as powerful for Democrats as abortion, galvanizing voters since Roe was overturned. Now, with emotional testimonials and intense strategizing here in Chicago, I'll talk to DSCC Chairman Senator Gary Peters about what reproductive rights will mean for those critical down-ballot races. And the stunning new fundraising numbers just released by the Harris campaign. We know how a lot of it, nearly $300 million of it, will be spent. So coming up, an inside look at the group that campaign affectionately calls a group of feral Gen Zers with good instincts and minimal oversight. My conversation with Deputy Campaign Manager Rob Flaherty on the campaign's plan to turn voters' positive views of his candidate into votes.
Look, Kamala Harris's job is to make wind. Our job is to make windmills. We are turning all of that energy into electricity for this campaign.
And so we start with the Democrats on a roll in Chicago, excoriating Donald Trump's claims that he's a man of the people and delivering a